Hey everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? Today is Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, the year of our Lord. And thank you guys for tuning in here on YouTube, right here on Con Radio's YouTube page. As always, you can subscribe to just the audio at all the places that you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon. These shows are always free, so feel free to download and share and, cut them up and explore them with your friends. Explore them like you explore your bodies, vigorously. So, July 4th. Happy Independence Day. I hope that you celebrated what freedoms we have left and talked with your friends and families about, the future and the hopes that we can continue to have great 4th of July celebrations where we get to blow up, trees and armament and all that stuff that we did, shooting parachutes and creating cinematic scenes with all the different fireworks with the kids. Hopefully you guys get to do all that stuff. So I asked a question on Facebook, and I'm going to try to do this more and more as I think of them and ways to get other people to participate in the show. But the question I asked, with 4th of July coming up was, what is your best or worst 4th of July memory? Mine is not only my best, but my worst. It was when we had illegal fireworks. And, I don't know if they were illegal. We had Randy, who gets mentioned, my dad's partner, who gets mentioned in this thread a few times, because he was part of this and also our source for these illegal fireworks. But he had come from a town called Hill City, Kansas, which it's a lot like the towns that we go serve tacos to here in Oklahoma. I mean, it is a small town, a proud town. I'd say it's a lot like Prague, probably, in the size, and it's got a high school, it's got that, but it's real small town, probably a couple thousand people at the most, and that's where Randy's from. But then there's little towns that surround it, just a farming community out in western Kansas. And he had a buddy named Tadpole that made fireworks, worked for the county. He held the stop and go signs as people were waiting for like a bridge that got a drunk driver knocked the edge off of a bridge or something, and the county had to come put the new guardrail up. That was Tadpole's job, to make sure that you went slow as you crossed it and not to kill one of the construction workers, And he was a hell of a sign holder, and I'm sure he did more than that. But I do know he did that. And in his free time, he would dabble in gunpowder. He would dabble in the manufacturing of other ways to use gunpowder, and that's what got him into fireworking. And there's as a boy, as a 12-year-old, as a 11-year-old, as a 13-year-old, this all made sense, but as an adult, sometimes you look around and you go, that's an abnormal existence. That's an abnormal way of life, to be a firework maker, a fireworkman. And then you kind of also think that person's just on the edge, because today it's fireworks, tomorrow it's bombs, or vice versa. You got to start with one or the other. You must love explosions, and thank God we have 4th of July for you to have a place to use your passion of exploding, rather than using it for probably what it would have escalated to had 4th of July not existed, or somebody crossed you, or whatever. But this was the guy who made these fireworks. And his name was Tadpole, and adults that have nicknames, because at the time I just thought his name was actually Tadpole. He was part of the Pole family from Hill City, and they went with the name Thaddeus and called him Tad for short. But it was a nickname. His name was Tadpole. But adults who keep their nickname, much like a skin man, oftentimes it's a good thing and a bad thing if it sticks, And you might even think that an adult who keeps his nickname is the kind of adult that would make fireworks, and you would be correct. And so, anyways, we had illegal fireworks that we got from Tadpole, and we were launching them in my grandpa's backyard in Viola. And my grandpa has, I don't know how many lots big his his place is, but it's got a big, pretty good size, maybe a couple acre size area, field behind his back fence. And he's got a fenced in backyard. And the reason they got that fence up is because when my grandma was around, she used to have potbelly pigs. And even though you can't put a damn invisible fence on a potbelly pig, okay, they won't feel it. And so you had to fence them in. And so Gertie and Pig were fenced in. And so we would set up every year in Viola. This was when Viola had it going on for 4th of July. People would come from other states to come to Viola, Kansas for their fireworks. There would be people from Arkansas, as far north as Maine, would come down to Viola to watch this fireworks show. And so not only the whole town was there, because the whole town was only maybe a couple hundred people. There'd be thousands of people that would come to Viola, Kansas, for these kinds of shows. And so in the beginning, it was potlucks, community, everybody pitch in, and then the city put on a good show. Kids mess around all day, play basketball and stuff, and then at night get out your blanket and the town puts on a good show, and it was great. And then as the years went by and as people started becoming more and more into their own stuff and not worrying about tradition anymore, the town's celebration kind of died out. And when that died out, my grandma and grandpa kind of took over. My dad, they kind of took over. My dad probably the three of them, just because they wanted to do something. There's always so many kids around. They like to do this stuff for the kids, and it's a good way to get family together. So we would go out there and they'd barbecue all day or cook hamburgers and hot dogs like everybody else, real tradition. And the kids would sit around and pop off black cats and the little whistler things and chase each other and, figure out how to explode army men and all that stuff. And then at night, my dad and Randy and whomever was the adults of the situation would do the big mortar shows. So, but it was a big deal because the whole family and extended family would show up in Viola, and we'd all be at my grandpa's house. So it was about this story that I'm reading you was about one of the last ones because of this, but because of these illegal fireworks and what happened. So one of these fireworks come out of the tube. When it come out of you had to bury these tubes because you couldn't just, it wasn't like you could have a cardboard tube and put one of these mortars in it. If you did that, it was too hot. There was too much heat coming out for this. And these are those ones that you hear when it's like, dunk, and it is just a belly rumbling, a belly shattering, makes your stomach turn sound. You know what I mean? And then they just explode up in the air, and they would go so high, and then just the whole sky would light up when you're that close to it. And it's just beautiful and frightening, but beautiful. And I was of the age where I'd be wanting to be involved. You know what I mean? Dad, I can do it. I can light it. And I would get to because either he was a bad parent or he just wanted me to learn my lesson or whatever the reason. So I would oftentimes help them, either by lighting and running or whatever. Well, one of these mortars had come out of the tube, and it just sat there. So we all heard the dunk, and we all looking up. And as we're looking up, we don't see nothing, and then we look down, and it's like right in front of us. There it is, just spinning like Independence Day, like an alien ship. But we all know what's going to happen. This is going to explode. And it was big up here. But what's it going to be down here? Well, guess what? It ain't small, baby. And it was... boom. This bomb went off of sparks and beautifulness. And, people were screaming. This is back before lawn chairs. Lawn chairs were part of the lawn, dude. Like, you didn't fold up a lawn chair back then. You left a lawn chair. It's like... have you decided to put a lawn chair in your lawn yet? That was a commitment because people would see it and it would stay. And so we were trying to get under these lawn chairs and picnic tables. Nothing was convertible like it is now where it's like, well, I'll just take 58 chairs and I'll be out of here. Just pack them in my Prius. No. We were jumping under freaking lawn chairs are permanent cement lawn chairs. We were jumping under them. Kids that didn't know how to walk were learning how to walk, dude. One guy spoke Spanish for the first time. It was just, we were all freaking out. It was nuts. Everybody was yelling at each other, "Get down!" You know, it's like, no shit. And the sparks everywhere. And everybody was fine, though. When it all said and done, everybody was fine. And we all kind of looked around. And then that was the moment where it's like, was the show over? You know what I mean? And that's the moment where you become an American. That's the moment where you become an American. And if you have a mortar, an exploding beautiful mortar, malfunction out of a tube and nearly kill your entire family and extended family, and once everybody shakes it off and wipes their legs and picks up their corns on the cobs and puts them back on the plate, and we all look at each other and we say, there's no way it could happen again, right? Show must go on. That's American, dude. And that's when I knew 4th of July was my favorite holiday. And is it stupid? Yes. Yes, it is. But it's beautiful at the same time. So that was my favorite. And I asked people if they wanted to share, you know, some of their best or worst. Because some people might say, a lot of people might say that was their worst 4th of July. A lot of people might say that was at that party. You know, maybe people closer to the Sparks. I'm not sure. People might say that. But I asked that out. I sent it to a few groups and stuff and tried to just put this question as far as what is your best or worst 4th of July memory. I tried to give an example of mine. And I got a few comments back, so I'll read some of them. And Sally, this lady named Sally, she said in 1994 she broke an ankle, dude. And she kind of goes into that, says she has a metal plate and some screws in her ankle, and she spent July 4th in the hospital in 1994. You know, that's too bad, dude. I felt bad because, like, that's a horrible story. She didn't say how it happened, and I hope it happened because she was stomping her feet because there was such a great fireworks display on. You know, I hope she was stomping her feet so hard that she broke an ankle. I hope somebody said "Stomp for America" and she broke her damn ankle in half, because then I'd feel a little bit proud about it. And 92 was when Perot lost the election, so 94 we were still getting over that as a country. So I said that sounds awful, and I hope she had a great weekend this week, and I hope her ankle's all right, and I hope she's running on it. Vince, I don't know where Vince is from. Never met the man. He tried to make some sort of joke about, you know, Santa and all this stupid crap. So keep it moving, Vince. No one cares about your dumb joke. My buddy Steve had a good one. Let's see. When I was a young kid, he was around 7, he guesses. He spent 4th of July at his grandparents' house in South Sacramento. He had a barbecue, and they were watching the fireworks, and between my grandparents and my dad's brother and sister and him, they had about 3 hours worth of, you know, all the different fireworks to pop off. So they had a big old pile of fireworks. And his uncle pulled out of the bag of illegal ones. It's always an uncle or a tadpole, and I bet his uncle has a nickname too. And they were the Jumpin' Jacks, basically a firecracker that acts like a safe and sane ground bloom flower, only these things also jump in the air. Well, he set off the whole pack, and it was cool watching them bounce all around the street. Then all of a sudden, one jumped over and across the street to the neighbor's house. Steve says he's never seen his dad jump so fast into action. He was a firefighter on an aircraft carrier in the Navy during Vietnam. So, like, this dude's got some experience, dude. You go into Vietnam, and then you see this jumping jack jump into the neighbors, and it's like, what? You're back there, especially on the 4th of July, because you already got those frickin' Vietnam juices pumping. So he jumped their front yard chain link fence, grabbed their hose, jumped their backyard fence while, you know, Uncle Cisco turned the water on and extinguished the thing as it was still going. So that was Steve's first one. Lucky they didn't burn the whole fence down, you know. So they did get lucky. I do remember Steve, as far as once Viola's that was probably like one of the last times we did a Viola. Then moved to my Aunt Lisa's for a while, and my Aunt Lisa's, she's really great at hosting parties, but it just wasn't, for whatever reason, maybe it was too close to Viola or something, and maybe it was when my grandma passed that it didn't feel right going over just that direction anymore for parties. And I don't know why. And that's my thing, because it's pretty much right after that we had a big party, a big 4th of July in Kansas City, and same kind of deal. We brought the tadpole fireworks, and it was back when my uncle had redone his pond. So I think we tried to, they used to have parties called big ass parties in my family. Randy and my dad were in charge of these big ass parties, and they had a couple of, maybe 3 of them total. And it was they spent a lot of money. They'd get bounce houses and smokers and friends, and it was just a way of showing appreciation for people they work with, that work for them, that they work for, all this stuff, and to get the communities and family and intermingle. And for a couple of grumpy old men, it's real sweet of them to put that kind of stuff together. And it was also, people would just get ridiculously drunk, and this was before, I imagine, people would get high, but it was kind of before that was in vogue. This was mainly like get beer and crappy liquor drunk and make a mistake, that kind of feeling. So we had a big ass party. I think we tried to like mix and combine the 4th of July, the celebration of my Uncle Tom's pond getting redone, which he redid his pond, and then a big ass party. And so it was in Kansas City. And what, unlike, this week we had quite a few people there, maybe 20 people there, 20, 30 people there. But we're talking everybody come up. Tents and air mattresses and house full and hotels being rented and helicopters flying in. I think it wasn't Trump, but maybe that Eric Trump came. Not the one that goes hunting, not Don Jr., the one that's like had some sort of freaking brain aneurysm or something, or they put like moose eyeballs in him or something. Anyways, Eric, he would fly the helicopter in, but we set up those illegal fireworks over by this excavator that was used to help. It was still sitting there. The man that owned the excavator was some sort of Gambino crime family guy. That it was always one of those deals with my Uncle Tom too, where it's always like, it sat there, this excavator sat there for probably 13 years after the pond was done, because it was some sort of, organized crime situation. So regardless, that's where we set up the big illegal tubes. It's a beautiful spot because they would go up and over the pond, and so the pond was and is gorgeous, and it's really big, and you sit on this deck and you can look out over this pond, and as these fireworks explode, you actually get both explosions. It looks like the ground is a firework because it's reflecting off the pond. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful setup. And so the guys were down there. Now everybody is annihilated drunk, and even I think at drinking age at that time was 5 years old. So a lot of my nephews and nieces were drunk at 5, and that was fine because it was 94. Because after Perot didn't get elected, it was no holds bar. So, anyways, everything was fine except for one of those illegal fireworks. One of those tadpolers went off and malfunctioned again because Tadpole was a drunk countyman from Hill City, guys. Not all those fireworks are consistent. This one's they're all beautiful, but not all of them are consistent. Don't think, you can't say this is quality stuff when we know who made it. Okay, so every once in a while he fell asleep while one punk was going into it or whatever, and you're gonna get one of those. And this one went up and lit that excavator on fire. And firemen were called. It was just nuts because people were so drunk. You're just like grabbing buckets of water out of the pond and like running it over to the excavator and dumping it on, and like, what are we doing? And the mob is gonna kill us, because you weren't thinking straight. So, anyways, that was another one that we had. And since then, that's when, to me, the tradition started, like, of going up there, pretty much. It at first was, it was probably that. Then I started dating Heather, and then that become kind of our place where we could go up there and either stay at a hotel or whatever. And so anyways, it was that was a fun time too. I got a lot of 4th of July memories. I got a bad one from this weekend, but I don't know if I'll get into it on this show or next one. I want to just kind of do this. So Steve had another one too. In 2007, they owned a house in West Sacramento, which is a good part of Sacramento. His brother had bought a bunch of illegal mortars and a tube, and they had the same kind of deal with the big ones and the illegal mortars. After everyone had left, the fireworks had tapered off around 11. Steve's dad and his brother and him sat on the back by the pool and had a fat joint. All right. It's 2007, and it's in California. And Steve has probably had a lot of... It wouldn't matter if it was the 4th or the 5th of July. But he was getting to enjoy that fat joint with his dad and his brother, which is a beautiful thing to do on... especially a Vietnam Navy vet. Smoke a freaking joint, dude. It's the 4th of July. And you were in Vietnam. They should send you a joint. America should send you a joint on the 4th of July. And thank you for your service. And I don't know if he's still around. I kind of don't think so. But if he is, thank you for your service. And if not, Steve, hats off to your old man. His brother says that there was one mortar left, which is always... That's a dangerous thing to say, dude. You never say that. If there's one left, you be quiet. You never say, hey, guys, there's one mortar left. That's not good. The backyard neighbors were out of town, so he set up the tube on the other side of the pool close to the fence. He lights it, walks away, explodes in the tube. Boom. That deep, loud sound. I know what he's talking about. The flash of light goes off, and now none of them can see or hear what's going on. His wife, which he was dating at the time, woke up by the sound and runs out and yells, "What the fuck was that?" Because it's got to sound like, it does sound like a bomb did just go off in your backyard. And then she said that the guys, the fucking fence is on fire. And all this is happening as they're still fat joint laying, dude. They're still fat joint celebrating, and they got their senses back together. And Steve's brother grabs a bucket and extinguished the fire with the pool water, and everybody was okay. Saved the fence, apparently, but it sounds like Steve's got a bunch of those stories, too. So Shannon commented on Steve's thing there, but Katie chimed in that, and this could have been at the same, she was at my grandpa's when we were, and I don't know if it's the same one. I guess we'll see here. She had glow necklaces, and they were dancing them. So the girls and the kids used to get the glow necklaces. And my sister was not very smart as a youth. Okay, she's 6 years younger than I am. But in those 6 years, education, because of Perot, or the lack of Perot, has went downhill, and she was not smart. She had glow necklaces, and she opened hers with her mouth and drank the glow juice. So, yeah, that was one of her bad memories. And I think this kind of, she thinks it happened just before. So probably at the same party with the damn mortar tube going off at my grandpa's in Viola. Steve was responding to Katie about it, and had glow sticks that his dad had got from the Air Force, and they're actual industrial strength Air Force, and they started bending them and kept bending them until eventually the neighbor's kids breaks open and the liquid sprays everywhere. The neighbor kid had rubbed it all over his face and hands and was glowing. So I think I remember something like that happening, and I know what Steve's talking about, because when my dad was in the Air Force, especially during their, there were certain days, maybe every quarter or something, where they had to go out and do, it wasn't just their normal day-to-day shift. They had to go do a training thing to make sure that they had stay a certain shape or fitness, and stuff like that, training exercises that they would have to do. And that's when he would come back with the big like the big canvas sack of all of his gear and gas masks and different kinds of boots and ghillie suits and all this. And that's where you would find some of them damn industrial glow sticks. And yeah, I definitely remember cracking those things open and squirting them all over my friends and my family and animals. You could take one of them and you could dip a cat in it or something, like a neighborhood cat. And that was pretty cool because during the day you wouldn't know, but at night you'd just see it glowing. And it would last quite a while on a cat. So it's actually pretty cool. And that was back before cats, cats got an agent since then. You're not allowed to do that kind of stuff anymore. So, a bunch of family members chimed in that they had remembered that one that I had shared. So that's good. And it must have been one for them too, because that's what they said. A man named John said that there was a stampede, and what does he say here? There was 3 years ago, I think there was a stampede in South Carolina. John, okay, maybe if it was him. All right, I got you. There was a stampede in South Carolina at the boardwalk on Broadway. There was rumors of shots fired. Ended up being a huge fight. We ran to our car with another family. Girlfriend was scared out of her mind and shaking. It was the worst one that they'd had. Well, I bet, dude. And that just happened in Chicago, of course, that there had to be another incident like that, a shooting like that. I'm going to type, that's horrible, but thanks for sharing, as I didn't see this comment. All right. So, my cousin Courtney, she had a horrible incident happen that I do remember now that she had reminded me. But she says about 20 feet from when our little mortar went off, I think on a different year, but we had horseshoes set up out there. And horseshoes is a game that you play, kids, where you drive a railroad spike, because railroad spikes are about 3 foot long, really. They should be, because you have to hold a damn train engine down as it comes across, barreling by at 70 miles an hour. So a railroad spike, you drive it to where about 2 foot would stick up, and then you grab a horse's shoe, which is made of metal, and looks like the letter U, and I think you get 3 of them a piece. You're playing against somebody, 1 versus 1, and I think if you're around, so you try to wrap this horse's shoe around a pin, that railroad pin, or if you're just like leaned up against it, it's a certain amount of points. I don't know. I think you go to 11, but I don't remember. But anyways, we had set that kind of stuff up because this was even before cornhole. There was no such thing as cornhole. Maybe there was washers. Usually we'd just play baseball catch or football catch in between fireworks stints. So, and I got the air conditioner going, and sometimes there's a little clicky click. I don't know if that is my headphones. I kind of think it's my headphones, but I do also notice that it comes through sometimes. And when I get done recording this, it's off to Lowe's or Home Depot to try to cool this baby down. So anyways, she was running around by the horseshoe pit and freaking caught her leg on one of those horseshoes pins, the horseshoe stake, and knocked a huge old chunk of her shin off. So she was bleeding and said that she needed help, and her dad had to take her into the hospital, get her stitches. And this was, again, though, back when you could run in there, even though there was people getting blown up, you run in there, get your stitches, and then come back to the party. So they come right back to the party, and it's all wrapped up. But what's so funny is Sierra comments on here, my other cousin, that my aunt and her went out to look for that chunk. You know what I mean? Because that's what family does, dude. If you lose a chunk of your leg, a family goes out there to try to find that chunk. If nothing else, just to barbecue it for you, just to have or frame it. Remember this chunk you lost? So they don't know if they ever found it, or maybe that pig ate it. So, anyways, Randy gave her $20 though, and that's what Randy would do. You know, he would try to make you feel better. So, thank you guys for sharing on the 4th of July stuff. Hopefully, had a great one. I did. It was fine. I mean, it was good. Jonah had a great time. It seemed like everybody had a good time. So I got to see an old high school buddy, which was nice, and so that's good. One thing I did notice on the way home is we have to stop usually in the same spot. There's a gas station off of the I-135 Turnpike corridor where we always seem to run out of gas. So, hold on. And I think that little crackling noise, the hum is the AC, but I think the crackling is the microphone trying to block it out for whatever reason. Either that or it's these headphones that like are interfering with stuff, which is because sometimes I move them. And I didn't want to use, I don't know what I'm doing yet still. I have not had a moment to do this. I'm going to try to spend the week getting this stuff put together a little better for you guys. But anyways, we make it to this gas station, and I know everybody's talking about inflation and everything else and gas prices, and I'm beyond that. I'm about sick of it, to be honest with you. Not just the prices and the cost of everything. I'm almost just as sick about hearing people talk about it. That gets old. So anyway, I filled up the Focus. It was empty. The light had just come on as we pulled into that station, which I knew would happen. That's about where it always happens. And got gas and went in, and I had the kids with me, but I wasn't, they just spent the past 3 days or longer, really longer, because my daughter had spent basically the whole damn week up in Newton with my in-laws. She wanted to go hang out with them, and she got her ears. She's had a heck of a couple weeks. But anytime that she stays up there, all they do is eat donuts and junk food and watch movies, and which is a great time. But then we go over to my uncle's, and it's 4th of July, and there's brownies and candy and ice cream and all those goodies, which is fine again. But we walk into this gas station, and that's what she thinks, like, well, the party's still going, and pretty much it is. But it's like, girl, you can't just go get some crackers, like some cheese and crackers, peanut butter crackers. You guys are saying you're hungry. Every time I've made dinner for you or lunch for you or breakfast for you throughout this trip, you eat 2 bites and then don't eat it, like kids do. But I figured I'll save some money, dude. We'll just go in here, and those crackers are $1.09, they say. So I said, why don't you get, so I think they got like 5 packs of crackers. That's $5 in my mind, right? Let's do the math together, okay? I got $5. I needed is not the right word. I was buying a can of Copenhagen, which is not good for you and shouldn't do, kids. But that's, let's just call it $7. We're at $12, guys. $12 if you're doing math at home, all right? It had been a late night or a bad night at sleep, night 2 of sleeping on the couch. Probably went to bed around 12:30 or 1. And so, I needed something to pick me up, and I'd had a bunch of coffee so I said, I'll just get a couple. I had about 4 hours of driving still ahead of me. So I grabbed a couple of Rock Stars that were $3.50 for 2 of them. So that was the sale. So I got a can of Copenhagen, 7, 5 packs of crackers at $1 a piece, pretty much. So $5, and 2 Rock Stars. So that's $15.50, right? We bought then 1 Powerade to share. I didn't have a price. This is where it gets confusing. Bought 1 Powerade and a little mini size pack of Cheez-Its, or 2 of those, which I think I thought would be $1. Anyways, it ends up being $28. So the Powerade and the 2 packs of Cheez-Its got me over another $12 added on, which is nice. So, you know, you run in there thinking, I'll just get a couple packs of crackers, because you didn't want to go stop at any of these fast food places and spend $30 on a bunch of junk, and you end up spending it anyways. It's just the way it is. So don't try to cut corners, everybody. They're going to get you. But the only important part about all of that is, before I had to, this song is going to be forever grained in my memory, because as I'm wandering around the gas station thinking this is fine, a couple bucks for a bag of chips, and then crackers, which seem to fill you up if they're filled with the peanut butter or even the cheese, because it's got a little protein in there, it can fill you up and hold you over at least until you get home and you can make a real meal. And I didn't notice this song going on, but as the gentleman who was real friendly there at the counter was bleeping blooping all my items, and I was watching the total go up, that's when, you know, your spidey senses go up, because you're like, am I getting, like, what's happening to me? I don't want to say, like, it's the same as being, you know, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever been raped. I might have been, but it's got to be what that feel like. I have had a gun pulled on me before, and you get this weird spidey sense, you know, the back of the neck hairs stand up, you know what I mean? And all that stuff. And so that's what starts going on as I watch. This is called, I was being monetarily assaulted, monetarily raped, I would say. And because of that, all of the surroundings I become aware of, you know, using my other senses. And so as he's, you know, it's getting above $20 and $22, and I had just spent, you know, $57 at the pump to fill that up, and $17 on the toll, you know. Everything is just going off. Alarms are going off in my head about that, you know. And so I'm noticing everything around me, and that's when I noticed the song. I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they understand. I'm like, this song, I freaking hate this song. And as I'm thinking I'm getting wallet assaulted. I don't even know who sings that. Is it maybe the Goo Goo Dolls or some crap? I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know. There's 2 women behind me. One, between the 2 of them, have a full head of hair. But on their own, have each shaved half their head off. And they're both holding, one of them's holding something called a Big Chunk and a Code Red Mountain Dew. The other one is holding Corn Nuts and Diet Pepsi. And the one in the pink shirt and the half-shaved head holding a Big Chunk and a Code Red is that, I look at her, her eyes are closed, much like mine are right now. And I don't want the world to see me. She's just belting it out in that convenience store. 'Cause I don't think that they'd understand when everything's made to be broken. I'm like, oh. And I just give that dude my credit card, dude. $30. $28, just tip it, you know. You want to round up? You know I do. Round up for this girl behind me, Mrs. Goo Goo Doll. I don't think they understand. It's like, she's gonna need that Big Red, dude. And so it was worth the stop, and you don't get that. I could have, you know, went through a drive-thru at a Brahms or something, but you're not gonna get that. And that's why you stop on the 3rd of July at a convenience store and spend $28, dude. That's America. So, anyways, it was a good 4th of July. I got to see my uncle. The night that we got up there, I still can't see very well out of my left eye. It's still scratched or whatever had happened to it. So there's that. But at nighttime, it's really any kind of air getting into it or any kind of light. You know, this light here is not helping, but it's to the right side. I'm okay, and I'm in the shed, and there's no air coming really over here. So I'm all right, but I want to say I think it's getting better, but it's not perfect yet, and so. But anyways, when we got there, it was evening time, and it was my cousin was there, Tammy, and her family, who they have a boy about the same age as Jonah, and then they got a little Tank that's a 1-year-old. That's a wild child, but he's a cutie, and they got to get him to. He was probably already in bed. I think he was for sure, and so. She had her husband there, but he's just fishing, and it was just nice, dude, because we got there, they had cooked some bratwurst and stuff, so we snacked on those, and then I just got to kind of sit and hang out and talk to my uncle one-on-one, which you don't get a lot of time to do when everybody else shows up. So we talked about a lot of stuff, and a lot of it, we just have similar interests, a lot of music, and I think on the next show I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my music selections, and I'll share what I like, and you don't have to like it, but sometimes I've been getting more and more into it, as opposed to, I like listening to other podcasts, I like listening to shows, but I think that I want to get ideas, and I like to be influenced by them. I don't mind it. I think it makes you better to see what really good shows are doing, or what is even perceived as really good shows are doing. I think that that's good, but there's also a part where maybe I want to be uninfluenced by it, and I want to come in here and I want to be exactly who I am, and not mimic any of that, and not let it flood into me even more than it already has, because it's already the influences. If you've listened to me for a long time, then you already know who they are, because I've mentioned them, or you actually just see them in me. But if you're fans of those other shows, but I don't want it to be too much. I don't want to be dripping with it. So I've been listening to more music, and a lot of that is because of my uncle, and he sends me songs that he likes, and he kind of knows, I think a lot of times I feel like he knows. He's like my spirit animal. He knows kind of what I'm going through internally, like this angst I feel, this struggle I feel, this determination I feel, and this without an outlet, without help, without assistance, sometimes. Not to you guys, though. I mean, those of you that are watching it and made it this far, thank you so much, and I appreciate it, and we're going to do it together, and it takes all of you. But and I'm going to try to figure out more and more ways to get you guys involved, I will play, and I should have the ability to play you guys, if you wanted to leave messages and stuff. Just do them through Facebook probably right now. That's facebook.com/conradio. If you just want to send me a message, that's the best place. Is Con Radio on Facebook. You can do it on Patreon also. I'll see them there. But the biggest thing you guys can do is subscribe and review. If you haven't done it, just do it. I know I've been doing this for a long time, but I haven't, in a way. So pretend like I haven't, and I just got started. That's fine. Because that don't matter, really. So just, if you haven't left a review in a while, or if you've never left a review, consider doing it on iTunes podcast app, or on Spotify, or do it just on our Con Radio Facebook page. Just keep spreading the word, keep sharing, and I'll be back with you tomorrow from the shed. I haven't checked in to see if Shannon is alive or dead yet, but his phone is dead, so I got to get with him. But after I hang up here, I'm going to be off to Lowe's to get some stuff to make this studio even more dope than it already is, and hopefully eliminate some of this background noise. So thanks for listening to Con Radio. Do everything you can as far as the free stuff, which I've just mentioned what that is, to help out. And thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you sharing your stories. Look for more posts where I'll want some interaction from you guys, and I'll post this on that thread so you guys can see the show. And thank you guys so much for listening. And with that being said, don't let your meatloaf, and have an okay day.